Sports-A-Delic, what is happening? What is happening? This is a public service announcement, and it's a terrible one at that. But I got to tell you, I have the smoke in my life from the cigars, but I apologize. Um, Travis and Gregg Mcmichaels, I am sick and tired of these guys. And I think it's reaching a point where I know your attorney's supposed to work hard for you, but at the same time, they need to just tell these guys to suck it up, accept it, and move on. Thursday, they had their attorneys file with the courts to actually be acquitted of all charges because according to the federal hate crime bill law, it has to take place on a public street, a public place. And they're saying that the street that they killed Ahmaud Arbery on is part of a subdivision. Because in 1958, the city of Brunswick said that they're not going to maintain, that particular street. But they have been maintaining the street. But this is all that they have, and I get it. No one ever wants to. People want to do the crime, but they don't want to do the time. And the father, on the down low, is throwing his son under the bus because his motion is a little different. He's saying that the prosecution did not prove that he was as racist as his son, Travis. Now, I could be wrong. I want to hear your comments, but that really sounds like throwing his son under the bus. So he's admitting to being racist, but just not as racist. And the motion kind of read like the prosecution failed to show that out of his 20 some odd years of service in the criminal justice field, he never showed any racial tension towards or in the presence of coworkers or subordinates. Who does? Nobody just walks in work and be like, oh my God, the monkeys are here. Oh my God, look at the black varmint over there. Oh my God, look at the So nobody's going to be doing that in the workplace in the presence of African American people any more than an African American would walk into work and say, oh, look at that ink over there or something. So, it's ludicrous. I understand that they're just throwing anything at the wall, hoping that it will stick. The reality is you killed a man on a Sunday afternoon in broad daylight. If you did not want to do the time, then don't do the crime. Gregory McMichael deserves to be where he is, if nothing else, for just pure stupidity. He released the video thinking that the video would prove that they're innocent. Now, of course, the other 3.5, 4 minutes of them chasing him, I guess he wasn't aware that just through cameras that people had throughout their neighborhood, that would be seen. And furthermore, I think this was more premeditated than meets the eye. I don't think that Roddy Bryan was working on his porch, seeing what was going on, screams, hey, y'all got him. I think that they had already discussed this in their community, that if they see him again, that they were going to confront him. I think Travis McMichael, it was proven in court that he kind of lied and embellished about Ahmaud, excuse me, 2 weeks prior being in the house, and he motioned like he had a gun on him. I think he just embellished that to put into motion and justify why they had their firearms. I just think it all was a farce and that it was premeditated. That they decided the next time we see him, we going to get him. And his mother, Ahmaud Arbery, that is, said it best in court. When they couldn't scare him, when they couldn't intimidate him, they shot and they killed him. And now they are coming up with any damn thing to try to get out of what they did. But what was more disturbing than all of this was Roddy Bryan, after this, went back to his house and started back working on the porch. After a man was gunned down in the middle of the road, 3 shotgun blasts, he just goes back home and starts back working on his yard. And I think the judge said it best. Remorse is something that can be shown. And I was mistaken. So I want to correct something that I said in my previous video. It looked like to me that Roddy Bryan was remorseful. I now know that that was just self-pity. He was just anguished about the fact that I am going to prison. Because what came out afterwards, this man deleted texts a few days prior to this murder. He had found out that his daughter was dating a black man and said that she's trash to him now. And so obviously these guys were racist to the core. Shame on Gregory McMichael. He's 66 years old. Whatever Travis McMichaels is doing or how he felt in calling black people the N-word and monkeys and varmint, he got it honest. He was raised that way. And I find it ironic that his father would suggest that his son is more racist than he is. I mean, this goes all the way back to the Karate Kid. You learn from your master, and you will never be better than your master, better than the one that's teaching you. Or in this case, the father suggesting that, oh, he's a better / worse racist than I've ever been in my life. So this is a crying shame. I just wanted to keep you guys updated, as I said that I would. And just as a reminder, Sports-A-Delic, we talk about sports and we talk about everything else on this particular platform. I would like to hear your comments because this is absolutely atrocious. I thought that it was bad about his long, dirty toenails. I thought that it was awful that the attorney for Roddy Bryan said that this was nothing more than Ahmaud Arbery attempt at his own suicide because he didn't do all he could have to have gotten away, that he could have ran and knocked on a neighbor's door. He could have been running down the street screaming, help me, help me. But he didn't do any of those things. And he could have kept going, but he turned into Travis McMichaels to confront him, and that Travis McMichaels had no choice but to pull the trigger. He just left off the part about Travis McMichaels came around the front of the truck. And I just think after being chased for 5 minutes, he knew that, hey, I'm going to have to just die trying at this point. You put the video out there. Ray Charles could have seen it. God rest his soul. He's dead and blind. That's how obvious it was. you pride yourself on being a man. You all need to be men and accept your punishment and just go on down the road and do your time. I know he's 66, and I hope that he lives 30 years, at least 30 years. Yeah, I would love to see him at 96 years old, still with the reality, damn, I got 20 more years. Because let's not forget, he and his son received life without parole plus 20 years. And Roddy Bryan, he would be in his 80s, early 80s, if he should make it to his completion of his 30-year sentence. But you guys have to understand, in the state of Georgia, it's 30 years before you're eligible for parole if you're granted that opportunity. But the Arbery family has vowed that if they should live, they will be at that parole hearing when it's time for Roddy Bryan to become eligible for parole, to try to keep him in. Just because you're eligible does not mean that you will receive it. And I hope and pray that he does every day and that he's denied at least the first time, because I think you have to wait 5 years before you're eligible again, because it's wrong. And not just the fact that it's so wrong, it's all that you're doing and saying to not be responsible, and trying to pull out crazy stuff about, I mean, it was in public. Nothing gets more public than what happened. And let's not forget, one of these bullets entered into another woman's house. They just happened to be in the back part of the house. So they just as easily could have killed an innocent person, another innocent person. Let me be clear, another innocent person with their reckless, racist, shameful behavior. And I do believe, because I was talking to my editor and producer here of the show, and he said, I wonder, those people that came forward that were in support and served as witnesses, for the Mcmichaels and Roddy Bryan, I wonder how they really feel now that everything has come out. And the truth of the matter is, they still probably feel the same way, with the exception of Travis Mcmichael's supervisors. He had two of his supervisors to testify in the federal hate crime trial. And what they talked about was being sick on their stomach and disappointed to discover that he had lied to them, because what he told them and what they seen on the video was totally different. And pretty much I'm ashamed, to have even called this person a friend. And hats off to them for just keeping it real and being true. Let's not forget, one of the Mcmichaels' witnesses got on the stand, and the prosecutor asked her, okay, you said that you seen Ahmaud Arbery standing in the doorway of this construction site. Yes. She said, well, okay, well, why didn't you call the police? And she said right there on the stand, well, I didn't want to seem racist. I didn't want to assume anything. So I just kept driving. So at the end of the day, that was her way of saying, this was wrong. It wasn't right. Because she had the same opportunity, if she thought that something fuddy-duddy was going on. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. I just wanted to keep you updated, as I said that I would. I'm still tracking this because obviously these guys just can't seem to accept their punishment. Thank you for tuning in to Sports-A-Delic public service announcement. Please, I want to hear your comments. Please share the content. Please subscribe. Thank you. Have a good night. And it's almost here. Spring, 9 days. And don't forget to spring forward with your clocks. Have a good night. And as always, be good to yourself and everyone else.